In this chapter, we extend the idea of coordination from the previous chapter to the entire supply chain. We go over concept of Bullwhip Effect and what are the obstacles to coordination in a supply chain and what managerial levers can help to achieve coordination. And we also look at collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment. Supply chain coordination means all stages of the supply chain take actions that are aligned and increase total supply chain surplus. At the same time, each stage share information and take into account effects of its actions on the other stages. So, lack of coordination results when objectives of different stages conflict, and also information moving between stages is delayed or distorted. And the chances of lack of coordination increases with more and more complex a supply chain is. For example, if you look at a company like Ford, so Ford has thousands of suppliers and they produce different models of cars and trucks. So these increased level of variety makes it really difficult for a company like Ford to coordinate information exchange with the thousands of suppliers. One outcome of this lack of coordination is bullwhip effect. What happens is when customers place orders with the retailers observe one level of demand variability. But when retailers place an order with the distributors, that variability you can see slightly increases, and this increases further as we move to manufacturer and is very high by the time it reaches suppliers. The variability is low in the beginning and then it increases as the information moves upstream. So these fluctuation in orders have been observed at many companies. Procter & Gamble is one example, and it has been observed in their supply chain for Pampers diapers. Similarly, Hewlett & Packard have also observed these kind of fluctuations in order in their supply chains. Another example is Brilla, which is an Italian manufacturer of pasta. And on a longer time frame, companies involved in production of memory chips for PCs have also observed this kind of phenomena. The problem such a variability creates is it increases the level of inventory that is needed. It also creates problems with the product availability, and all that affects overall profits. So let's take example of Walmart. Now suppose Walmart is planning some kind of promotion for one of its products, and to make sure that they have enough stock of that item, they place a slightly bigger order with the distributors. What can happen is distributor sees this slightly bigger order and thinks that there is growth in demand and places an even bigger order with the manufacturer. And manufacturer sees this order and thinks that this is a real increase in demand, so they may place an even bigger order to the supplier. But then in the next cycle, that promotion ends and Walmart returns to the normal demand. So distributor will see that demand falling slightly, and then what they may do is they may project that to future and think that demand is going down, and they may place a lower order to manufacturer, and manufacturer again magnifies that low order to even a lower order to the supplier. So a slightly high demand may get magnified in a big way by the time it reaches supplier, and similarly a slight small demand may get magnified to a large extent by the time it reaches supplier. This phenomena is called bullwhip effect. So lack of coordination in a supply chain has obviously negative impact on its performance, and finally it also hurts the supply chain surplus. If you look at some of the performance measures in a supply chain, so manufacturing cost will increase because of this lack of coordination. The reason being this increased variability will cause a manufacturer to have excess capacity, or they may try to tackle it by holding excess inventory, and in either case the cost is going to increase. Similarly, to tackle increased variability in orders, one must carry higher level of inventory, which will increase the inventory cost. It will also require increased warehousing space, and that will increase warehousing cost too. Such lack of coordination will also have negative impact on replenishment lead times. There could be times when, with the available capacity or inventory, it is difficult to fulfill the demand, and some of the orders are not fulfilled in time. So that will increase replenishment lead times. And to take care of this increased variability, transportation cost also is likely to increase because more transportation capacity may be needed to take care of high demand periods. Shipping and receiving cost will also increase. So whether it is a manufacturer, distributor or retailer, so they may have to carry excess labor capacity, or they may have to vary their labor capacity from time to time due to high fluctuations in demand, and all that is going to increase the overall cost. And all these issues will also lead to decreased level of product availability, because the chances or the likelihood that a retailer will run out of stock will also go up, and that will cause lost sales for the entire supply chain. And finally, all this will convert into lower profits for the entire supply chain. So overall, such lack of coordination in the supply chain has a negative impact on the performance at every stage, and relationships among supply chain partners takes a beating because there is a tendency to assign blame to other stage or other partner in the supply chain for every problem, and it also causes significant loss to trust. So supply chain partners do not trust each other, and all this has negative long-term impact on the supply chain. So let's see what are the major obstacles to coordination in a supply chain. And in fact, anything that causes partners in the supply chain to try and optimize only their activities, or anything that causes information not to flow smoothly among all supply chain partners and leads to either delay in getting right information at right time or distorts the information which is available. All these create obstacles to good coordination in a supply chain. So we are going to look at some such obstacles. So these obstacles have been categorized into 5 major categories: incentive obstacles, information processing obstacles, operational obstacles, pricing, and also behavioral obstacles. Let's go through these one by one. So incentives that lead to local optimization and not optimization at the entire supply chain level act as obstacles. If you think of sports like a basketball team, and if each player in the team tries to optimize their own chances of scoring a basket and not sharing the ball with the teammate in situations where that teammate may actually be in a better position to score a basket, so that kind of local optimization will surely make that team to lose the match. So same thing happens if different players in a supply chain, whether it is retailer or a wholesaler or a manufacturer or supplier, if they design incentives that encourages local optimization, so that will be a big obstacle to coordination in a supply chain. We also notice sometimes there are sales force incentives that are not structured properly. So there's a concept of sell in and sell through. So sell in is where the quantity is sold to the distributors or retailers, and sell through is when quantity is sold to final customers. So if Salesforce incentives are designed based on sell-in, where Salesforce from say manufacturer offers some kind of incentive towards the end of their evaluation period, so that will create an artificial jump in orders towards the end of the evaluation period, but at the beginning of the next evaluation period there may be significant drop in the orders. So Salesforce incentives based on these kind of sell-ins are going to lead to higher order variability. So information processing obstacle occurs when demand information is distorted as it moves between various stages of the supply chain. So for example, from customer to retailer to wholesaler and finally to the supplier, if the demand information is distorted, it is going to lead to increased variability in orders. So when retailers get information on customer demand and use that information to place an order with the wholesaler, wholesaler may not have knowledge about what was the actual demand by the customer, but whatever they know is based on the orders that they receive from retailer. And same thing happens with the manufacturer. So manufacturer may receive orders from wholesaler and may not have concrete idea about the real customer demand. So when they start using these orders as a basis for making predictions and forecasting, so that leads to higher and higher variability and also causes demand information to be distorted. This information distortion magnifies as we move up the supply chain because of lack of information sharing. So information about customer demand is a very significant piece of information, and there are many companies that have devised ways to make sure that information distortion is minimized. So for example, let's say Walmart is planning to have some promotion for a product. So this promotion is obviously going to increase demand for these products, and if wholesalers or the manufacturer are not aware of this information that a promotion is being run by Walmart, which is going to cause increased demand. So a manufacturer, for example, may think that this increase is real, and they may forecast that the future demand also is going to be high, and based on that they plan their manufacturing. A wholesaler or a manufacturer may take this increase as a signal that the demand is going to permanently increase. But when Walmart orders return to normal, manufacturer may react by placing even smaller order, thinking that the demand has significantly reduced. So this will create a much higher variation. So such lack of information obviously causes large fluctuations in manufacturer orders. Operational obstacles occur when placing and filling orders lead to increase in variability. It occurs when orders are placed in large lots. When compared to demand size, ordering is done in large lots. Variability in order gets magnified as we move from retailer to wholesaler to manufacturer to supplier. One example of this can be seen from this picture here. Demand fluctuations are quite small here, but you can see order fluctuations are much larger. And the reason is demand is almost every week, but these orders are placed every 5 weeks. So this obviously will increase the variability. So when a manufacturer faces this kind of situation where they are catering to many retailers and each retailer behaves in such a way, so this phenomena gets magnified to a large extent. Operational obstacles also occur when we have large replenishment lead times. So consider a situation where lead time is only 1 week. Retailer places an order in anticipation that it will take 1 week to get the material or products. And if retailers see some growth in demand, they will make that adjustment while ordering these items. But suppose there's a situation where lead time is 8 weeks. So now when a retailer has to place an order and they see some growth in demand, so what they will try to do is they will try to project that into 8 weeks, and they will try to increase their orders in such a way that the anticipated demand is fulfilled. Similarly, when they see lower demand, they will try to project that in the order they place over a lead time of 8 weeks, basically the result is going to be that there will be huge fluctuation either on the upside or downside when lead times are greater. Another obstacle related to operational activities are because of rationing and shortage gaming. If there are products which are in high demand and short supply, so what a manufacturer will do is they go for rationing. So they will provide only a specific number of items or products to various retailers. And one criteria they may use is what is the order size. So if a retailer, for example, orders 100 items, manufacturer may only give them 75. So what these retailers will do in future is, so if they want 100, instead of asking for 100, they may ask for a bigger number so that at least they can get 100. So that is called shortage gaming. Pricing obstacles arise when pricing policies for a product lead to increase in variability of orders placed and basically leading to bullwhip effect. So sometimes discounts are offered based on lot size, and because of the discounts, lot sizes may become bigger and bigger, so that may magnify the bullwhip effect. Similarly, there are price fluctuations that occur because manufacturer may offer short-term discounts or some kind of promotions. So that causes forward buying by wholesaler or retailers, followed by a period of very small orders. So here is an example that was published in Harvard Business Review, and this example is of chicken noodle soup. So you can see because of these discounts, manufacturer shipments were very high in few weeks, and that was followed by very small orders when discounts ended. So you can see retailer sales are more consistent, whereas manufacturer shipments see wide fluctuation in amount shipped. Within many organizations, there are behavioral obstacles that contribute to information distortion. And these problems arise because of supply chain structure and also communications among different stages of the supply chain. So listed below are some such obstacles that we see in practice. So each stage of supply chain views its actions locally and is unable to see the impact of its action on other stages. Similarly, different stages of the supply chain react to current local situation rather than trying to identify the root cause. So unless somebody looks at the supply chain in totality, some problems are difficult to solve. Sometimes what happens is symptom of a problem may occur in one stage of the supply chain, whereas root cause may lie in some other stage. Instead of focusing locally, if action is based on study of the entire supply chain, so that action will be much more effective. Different stages of the supply chain blame one another for fluctuations. So this causes a lot of distrust among supply chain partners, and instead of really becoming partners, sometimes they become enemies of each other. No stage of the supply chain learns from its actions over time, because an action that is taken at one stage may have its repercussions in some other stage. So that stage where the action was taken may never learn from their mistakes, and it can go on and on. So what may happen is a stage that really contributed to the problem starts blaming all other stages for the problem. A lack of trust among supply chain partners causes them to be opportunistic at the expense of overall supply chain performance. So many times there are situations where a lot of time and energy gets wasted, and each stage sometimes end up rediscovering the wheel because they don't learn from each other. And once supply chain partners mistrust everybody else, then even when information is available, that information is also not trusted. So one thing leads to other, and it results in total lack of coordination in the supply chain. Once we have identified what are the obstacles for achieving coordination in a supply chain, now we can look at how coordination can be improved in a supply chain. One of the ways coordination can be improved is aligning goals and incentives so that every participant in supply chain activities works to maximize total supply chain profit and not individual stage profit. So for doing this, aligning goals across the supply chain is important. So one example is Walmart and HP. So Walmart pays HP for each printer that is sold to the customer, and they also give HP full power to make decisions regarding the inventory. So HP obviously makes decisions that will help to match supply and demand for these printers. That obviously will contribute to maximizing total supply chain profits. Another one is to align incentives across functions. Incentives should be designed in such a way that their performance is judged based on profitability of the entire supply chain and not just the function. So that will definitely help to improve coordination in the supply chain. Also, managers can use pricing as a tool for improving coordination in a supply chain, and especially when there is a demand uncertainty. So manufacturers can use tools such as buyback, revenue sharing, and quantity flexibility to help the retailers. And retailers should use that to make sure that certain level of customer service or product availability is available. So this kind of coordination also can help in maximizing total supply chain profit. Managers must also alter sales force incentive from sell-in to sell-through. So we have seen earlier, incentives designed around sell-in create a lot of obstacles in supply chain coordination. But when performance of sales force is assessed based on sell-through, which means how many products or how many items retailers are able to sell to the final customer, so that will have a big impact on reducing forward buying and significantly reducing fluctuations that occur in orders. Since information distortion is one of the things that leads to bullwhip effect, having accurate information throughout the supply chain can be very helpful in improving coordination. Instead of each stage developing forecast based on orders, if customer demand data can be shared across the supply chain and all the supply chain partners use that information to develop their forecast, that can help achieve coordination in a big way. Another thing that can help with improving information accuracy and also its visibility across the supply chain is implementing collaborative forecasting and planning. This is where all the players in the supply chain who are involved with developing a forecast, so they come together and share the information and carry out their activities in a collaborative way. So that's going to be very, very effective. Another thing that can be done is designing single stage control of replenishment. And this can be done using continuous replenishment programs, CRP, or vendor managed inventory, VMI. So single stage control of replenishment directly has impact on information sharing, and this can go a long way to minimize information distortion. So one example is of Walmart again. So what Walmart does is they assign one of its suppliers as the leader for each major product category, and this supplier is responsible for managing store level replenishment. So obviously this action helps suppliers to understand the real demand, and they make their decisions related to replenishment in such a way that it optimizes the entire supply chain profit. Similarly, improving operational performance can also help achieve coordination in the supply chain, and one way is to reduce replenishment lead time. So earlier we had seen if lead times are larger, that magnifies fluctuations. If efforts are made to reduce replenishment lead times, so that will have a big impact on these fluctuations and bring them down significantly. So one action that can help is online ordering or use of electronic data interchange, EDI. Managers can also work on reducing lot sizes. So if operational improvements can be made, that help to reduce lot sizes. That will in turn have a positive impact on the supply chain by reducing information distortion, because larger lot sizes we have seen always lead to higher fluctuations. There are many best practices that are followed in industries. One example is milk runs. So basically, a single truck caters to several retailers by combining shipments, and that helps to reduce lot sizes. So to achieve this, managers also must implement some technologies that can be helpful with the small lot sizes. One example is RFID. Another thing that can be done is rationing based on past sales and sharing information to limit gaming. Instead of just looking at the order that comes from a retailer and then rationing based on that number, if a manufacturer can look at past sale data and then decide how many items these retailers are able to sell and do rationing based on that, so that will be much more effective, and that will also help in reducing or eliminating effect of limit gaming. Designing pricing strategies to stabilize orders, encouraging retailers to order in smaller lots and reduce forward buying. So this can be achieved by moving from lot size based to volume based quantity discounts. So what happens with the lot size based quantity discounts is that the supplier tend to increase the size of the lot, and we have seen that bigger lot sizes create bigger problems due to bigger fluctuations and also information distortion. But if volume based quantity discounts are given, so that will discourage a supplier to have very large lot sizes, because there will not be any incentive to have a big lot size. Volume based quantity discount focuses on overall or the total purchases during a specific period, such as a quarter or a year. So that way, need for a very huge lot size will not be there. So volume based discount will encourage smaller lot sizes, and smaller lot sizes in turn will reduce order variability. So that will help improve coordination in a supply chain. Similarly, stabilizing pricing can be used as a tool by a manager to improve coordination. So managers can reduce the bullwhip effect by eliminating promotions and using what is called as EDLP, everyday low prices. So if there are no promotions, then the incentive to have forward buying also vanishes, and that helps to reduce bullwhip effect. Building strategic partnership and trust. When accurate information is shared among the supply chain partners, every stage in the supply chain starts to develop some level of trust. So when there is a better relationship among supply chain partners, it can also help to reduce cost. For example, if a supplier has trust in the retailer's order numbers, so they don't have to really have their own forecasting team to develop forecast. So they can directly use the numbers provided by the retailer and do all the planning based on that. There are many situations where manufacturers receive items from suppliers which are not even inspected for number or quality, because they have developed a lot of trust in that supplier, and those items directly go to the assembly line without any need for incoming inspection. Single point of replenishment, that is when responsibility of replenishment is assigned to a single entity across the entire supply chain. So that can help in a big way to avoid information distortion. So when these decisions are made by a single entity, so it helps to improve visibility and also make sure that there is a common forecast that is used across the entire supply chain. There are two commonly used industry practices. One is CRP, another one is VMI. So CRP stands for Continuous Replenishment Program, where a wholesaler or a manufacturer replenishes based on point of sale data. So IT systems across the supply chain are used to provide necessary information. In CRP, inventory at the retailer is owned by the retailer. VMI is manufacturer or supplier is responsible for all decisions regarding inventory. So now the control of replenishment decisions move from retailer to manufacturer. And in many situations, the inventory is owned by supplier until it is sold by the retailer. So under VMI, retailer has to share information about demand with the manufacturer so that they are in position to make inventory replenishment decisions. So this sharing of information obviously helps a manufacturer to have a better forecast and also match supply with demand more accurately. Manufacturer is now in a position to make inventory related decisions that help not only to increase its own profit but to increase the profit of entire supply chain. For example, Kmart. So at Kmart, inventory turns on seasonal items increased from 3 to about 9 or 11. Similarly, for non-seasonal items, it improved. So it used to be 12 to 15, it improved to 17 to 20. Another example is Fred Meyer's. So for them, inventory levels reduced by 30 to 40%, which is a significant drop. At the same time, fill rate increased to 98%. So big reduction in cost and big increase in profits. One problem that can arrive with the VMI is when a retailer is selling products from competing manufacturers. For example, a Best Buy customer may substitute a TV by Samsung for a TV by Sony. So if Best Buy is following VMI, what will happen is each manufacturer will make decisions about their product, and overall that may increase inventory levels. In these situations, a retailer may be in a better position to make decisions regarding replenishment so that it is more effective for the entire supply chain. CPFR, which is collaborative planning, forecasting and replenishment. So here sellers and buyers in a supply chain may collaborate along any or all of the following 4 items: strategy and planning. This could include what is the scope of collaboration, what are the assigned roles and responsibilities, and they also identify any significant events such as promotion or new product introductions. Similarly, collaboration may revolve around demand and supply management. Here the collaboration involves coming out with a sales forecast that takes into account customer demand based on point of sale, and then it is converted into plan that addresses inventory levels, replenishment, lead times, etc. Then execution involving production, shipping, receiving, inventory and all those things come into picture. So analysis can involve activities which are used for assessing performance, or they can be used for identifying trends if they exist. So 4 common CPFR scenarios are listed here. So first one is retail event collaboration. So companies like Target or Walmart, when they do a lot of promotions, it has big impact on the demand. So if there are stockouts or excess inventory, or if there are some unplanned logistics related costs, so that is going to have a big impact financially on both retailer as well as manufacturer. So in these situations, collaboration will obviously benefit both retailer as well as manufacturer. And these collaboration could be on things such as timing of these promotions or events, duration, price point, advertising, and so on. So where such a scenario is applied in supply chain: highly promoted channels or categories. Industries where this has been applied: all industries other than those that practice everyday low price. Second CPFR scenario is DC replenishment collaboration. So this is one of the most commonly used collaboration that is observed in practice. So in this collaboration, these 2 partners collaborate on forecasting distribution center withdrawals or anticipated demand from the distribution center to the manufacturer. So collaboration in such situations can help reduce overall cost. So this has been applied in supply chain at retail distribution center or distributors distribution center. And some example of industries include drugstores, hardware and grocery. So one thing to notice is that this type of collaboration is easy because point of sale data is not needed and only aggregate level data are generally used. Next one is a store replenishment collaboration. Now partners in this scenario collaborate on store level point of sale forecast. So this type of collaboration obviously is more difficult compared to the previous one, and the difficulty level is even more where stores are small in size. Where applied in supply chain, so this is applied in direct store delivery or retail distribution center to store delivery. And industries where this is applied is mass merchants or club stores like Costco or BJ's. Next CPFR scenario is collaborative assortment planning. Applied in supply chain where we see apparel and seasonal goods, and industries where it has been applied are department stores and specialty retail. So since this is applied to seasonal items, when forecasts are developed, they do not rely that much on historical data, but they rely more on collaborative interpretation of the trends that we see in industries or macroeconomic factors, and they can also depend on customer tastes that changes from time to time. So successful implementation of CPFR requires an organization structure. And if you look at manufacturer organizations, what they may do is, especially for large customers, they may create cross-functional teams for each large customer. For example, customer 1 team may have demand planning, sales, customer service and logistics, and a similar structure for second customer. So for smaller customers, what they may do is they may create teams which are focused based on geography or sales channel. And if you look at retailers, they may make teams as per the category, and then each one may include multiple suppliers. The first thing is to quantify the bullwhip effect. So there is a saying, what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. So unless we quantify, we do not know what is the real impact. So what managers can do is they can try and quantify variability in the orders that are received in different stages of the supply chain, and then identify what is their own contribution to this bullwhip effect. So once it is quantified, it becomes easier to take actions and see whether those actions are effective or not. Get top management commitment for coordination, because in a supply chain so many partners are involved. So unless top management commitment is there, things are not going to move. So supply chain coordination requires managers in different stages to sacrifice some of their own interests in the interest of the bigger picture. And such trade-offs will not be feasible or practical unless there is a top management commitment. So if you look at any successful company like Walmart or Procter & Gamble, top management commitment is one of the key factors that contributes to their success. Devote resources to coordination. So coordination that involves hundreds of suppliers, manufacturers, retailers, wholesalers, and so on. So obviously it will need some resources for the coordination to be effective. One example is having a common IT resource so that information communicates among supply chain partners in a very smooth way. So one problem generally seen is where action in one stage of the supply chain has impact on another stage of the supply chain. So to solve such problems when a team is created, so it has to draw resources from various stages so that effective solution can be found. Focus on communication with other stages. So to avoid information distortion, this is a must. So when various stages in the supply chain communicate with each other, so they will be on the same page and they may be sharing the same information, and that will help to develop more trust among the partners, and that will obviously improve coordination in the supply chain. Try to achieve coordination in the entire supply chain network. If coordination is very good between two players in a supply chain, that may be good, but full benefit of coordination will only be achieved when the entire supply chain network is coordinated. So if you take example from sports again, you may see that in a basketball team, two players coordinate very well between them. Occasionally they may be successful, but that's not very healthy for long term. use technology to improve connectivity in supply chain. Now with these technologies, it has become practical that all partners in the supply chain are able to share information and coordinate in a much better way. And last but not least, share the benefits of coordination equitably. Especially managers who come from the stronger party in a supply chain, they must take responsibility in making sure that the benefits of coordination are shared among supply chain partners fairly.